I'm Ryan Mitchell. I'm turning 14 today, and I'm a Twitter winner today, and it's time for JetHawks baseball.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah! You're a winner!
Welcome to a new episode of This Week in JetHawks Baseball. I'm your host, Jeff Lasky. Here's what's coming up on our show. We're going to play JetHawks trivia. Our Scott Bluzewicz will introduce you to the opposing teams for the series, the High Desert Mavericks and the Lake Elsinore Storm. And our Will Thornhill is going to take you around the ballpark as we find out what's happening in the hangar during Local Heroes Week. Now, amongst the heroes from this year's JetHawks team has been pitcher Zach Grimmett. He was one of the top relievers for the ball club at the beginning of the year, and when a spot in the rotation unexpectedly opened up, he was able to plug the gap, and in fact, he's turning in one of the best seasons of his career. Zach Grimmett is our guest here on the show, so let's go meet him. Here we are with JetHawks pitcher Zach Grimmett, and Zach, we get a chance to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on. You began the season in a relief role. You've also been a starter now. When you're in spring training, do they give you an idea of what they're kind of thinking that your role might be during the course of the year?
Well, this year was kind of weird because what they do with starters in spring training is they kind of like build them up like 1, 2, 3 innings every outing, and that's kind of what I did during spring training. I worked all the way up to 6 innings. And then I get here and I get in the bullpen, with they didn't really give me any indication of what they wanted me to do, but once I was in the bullpen out here, I figured at some point in the year there's a possibility I'm gonna end up back in the rotation. So I just kind of expected it to happen myself. I just didn't know how soon it would be.
Is there a different mindset that you need when you're a reliever or if you're a starter?
A little bit, when you're a reliever, you kind of just it catches you off guard, so you get that all that more adrenaline going, a little more focus going, whereas a starter, you kind of got to prepare yourself during the week leading up to your start, and so that kind of takes a little while. It took me a little while to get used to.
One thing I noticed is that as a reliever, you were very much a fly ball pitcher. As a starter, you're getting a lot more ground balls during your outings. Is that something that's intentional? Is that a product of the different roles?
I really don't know what caused that. I noticed that myself as a reliever. I noticed, like, golly, when am I going to get a ground ball out? But now here I usually get a few a game, and I get the occasional pop-up, but, I think it's in the reliever role, I was trying to throw things too hard, and not really worry about locations, whereas a starter, I'm worried about spotting up here, there, and really throw my pitches down in the zone, so I think that's helped out a lot.
You've pitched well enough now that you've started setting some personal bests for how deep you've gone into games. Do you get more tired? Do you feel it? Do you feel differently when you're pitching in the 7th or 8th inning from when you might if you were a reliever just pitching at any point?
I don't feel much different. Sometimes I'll feel a little tired later on in the game, or in some cases, it's kind of weird. Well, I'll feel looser as I work in the game. My body's just getting more limber, and I'm working through stuff, and it just really depends on the day and how I'm feeling that day.
One of the things that's easy to forget is that you're actually the youngest pitcher on the staff this year. Do you feel like you've come a long way this year?
Yeah, I feel like I've made steps in the right direction as far as how the organization wants me to be, and in the mindset of being the youngest kid on the team, it really doesn't bother me that much. I just worry about going out there and keeping my team in the ball game and keeping my bullpen fresh by going as long as I can in the ball game.
Well, Zach, keep up the good work, and thanks for coming on This Week in JetHawks Baseball.
Thank you very much.
That's JetHawks pitcher Zach Grimmett. Now let's meet the High Desert Mavericks and the Lake Elsinore Storm with our Scott Bluzewicz. Scott.
Thanks, Jeff. The JetHawks open up a 6-game homestand against the High Desert Mavericks and the Lake Elsinore Storm, two Southern Division rivals that Lancaster is currently chasing in the race for the second half Southern Division Championship and a spot in the 2011 California League playoffs. High Desert is led by center fielder Denny Elmani and first baseman Dennis Rabin, who's one of the top hitters in the California League. Meanwhile, Lake Elsinore is paced by third baseman designated hitter Edinson Rincon and first baseman Nate Fryman, who leads the circuit in RBIs. That's a look at High Desert and Lake Elsinore. Now back to you, Jeff.
Thanks, Scott. Now it's time for our trivia question for this week's show. I'm standing in front of a poster of former JetHawks pitcher Dallas Keuchel. He had a tremendous year last year. In fact, he had 3 complete games. Well, the JetHawks also only have 1 no-hitter in their franchise history. That was not a complete game. In fact, it took 5 different pitchers to do it. But my question for you is this: who is the starting pitcher in the only no-hitter in JetHawks franchise history? While you're thinking it over, let's find out what's going on around the hangar during Local Heroes Week, and for that we turn to our reporter, Will Thornhill. Will.
Thanks, Jeff. A lot going on in this homestand. We kick it off on Wednesday night. It's another We Win, You Win Wednesday. Last Wednesday, the JetHawks won, so we'll have a bunch of people coming out from that game. If they win again, then everybody gets to come back to the next Wednesday home game for free. Thursday night is Cheers Buck Beers, and it's also Funky Hat Night, so wear your silly hat, come out and enjoy some dollar beers through the 6th inning. Friday night, it is another fireworks spectacular, this time sponsored by Taco Bell and AV Subaru here at the ballpark. On Saturday, it is our photo frame giveaway. It's presented by Division Street Dental and Snow Orthodontics. It's the first photo frame we've ever given away here at the hangar. On Sunday, it is Kids Eat Free, and of course, you get the play catch on the outfield before the game, run the bases after the game. It's Big League Dreams Sunday here at the stadium. And then on Monday, we end the homestand on one of my favorite games of the year. It is Summer Splashdown. The game starts at 11 a.m., so make sure you bring out your squirt guns, some water balloons. It's going to be a great time here at the ballpark. But one of the greatest parts about this homestand, it's Local Heroes Week here at the hangar. We're going to pay tribute to some of the organizations and men and women that make the Antelope Valley such a great place to live. People from AMR, the Department of Corrections, U.S. Forest Services, CHP, and of course the Sheriff's and Fire Department will be making their way out to the ballpark all week long to raise money for local charities. So each night there's going to be some special activities. We'll have a couple flyovers, and of course the big red fire trucks will be here for the kids to take pictures with as well. On Sunday, we wrap it all up with Fallen Heroes Sunday. Every ticket purchased here at the stadium for Sunday's game, $3 will be donated back to charity to the Fallen Heroes Fund to raise a bunch of money for some very deserving men and women and their families here in the Antelope Valley. We got 3 softball games, lots of stuff going on. Make sure you go to JetHawks.com to get all the information and plan your trip out to the hangar for this great 5-game homestand. Back to you, Jeff.
Thanks, Will. Let's give you the answer to our trivia question. We asked you who was the starting pitcher during the only no-hitter in JetHawks franchise history. Well, it was Lancaster righty Robbie Donovan. He actually took a perfect game into the 6th inning before the JetHawks beat the Lake Elsinore Storm 3-1. That game went into the record books. It is the only extra innings no-hitter in the history of the California League. That's just about going to wrap things up for us. We want to thank our reporters, Will Thornhill and Scott Bluzewicz, and our very special guest, JetHawks pitcher Zach Grimmett, as well as Radom Productions for putting together this week's show. We'll remind you that you can watch any of the programs we do throughout the year online at JetHawks.com. And until next week, this is Jeff Lasky saying thanks for tuning in to This Week in JetHawks Baseball.